Hey guys, Unfair here. Welcome back to another episode of Cutting Room Floor. Let's try and do this one a little bit silently.
Time for some fun.
There's a couple guys in here, I guess. Whoops, missed that guy.
You fucker!
Yep, that's me. I was just hoping I could do that without getting shot in the face, but apparently not. I'd like to use my minigun on these guys, but these guys all have shotguns. And shotguns are insanely overpowered if the AI have them in this game. So I'm just gonna blow them all to hell. And for the second time, we can actually use our invisibility to go through lasers. We don't get to use it too often, but occasionally it makes life a little bit easier. And once again, we're in one of those sections where we have to crouch walk. If we crouch and go at normal speed here, these mines will blow up on us. And we really do want to disable all of them because we're going to have to come back this way anyway. There, I think that should be it. Yep.
And this is why I urge every member of my staff, every man and woman dedicated to the true mission of the Humanity Front, to do the same. Isaias, if you're watching this, I beg you, do not allow misplaced anger to destroy everything we have struggled to achieve.
It's over. He knows I can't come back from that.
Everybody knows, Sandoval. You can't hide from what you've done.
What I've done, Mr. Jensen. I spent years patching people back together from augmentation botch jobs and systemic organ rejection brought on by implants. And now, because of Bill's betrayal, I'll never practice medicine again.
You really want to help someone? Tell me where CRF scientists are.
I wish I could, Mr. Jensen. But my involvement ended right after I failed to remove their GPLs.
You failed?
Turns out, my surgical skills weren't good enough to bypass David CRF's insurance policy. So for all I know, those little implants are broadcasting right now, on a frequency so low your network specialist wouldn't think to look for it.
You changed the frequencies.
You have your answers, Mr. Jensen. And I've lost all of mine. The courts may think I have much to atone for, but my court will be a higher one.
It says Mustang Arms on his gun. That's kind of a cool little detail.
How about I take that gun with me when I go?
You got everything you came for. Please, just leave.
Believe it or not, I'd rather you didn't kill yourself.
That's because you have no idea what tortures I've endured. The guilt, the shame. I was told the scientists would be used to find a peaceful solution to the augmentation crisis. Instead, I was involved in kidnapping and murder. My life ended that night. It's time for me to go.
Think about it. Are you really in such a hurry to face that higher court of yours?
At least there are no lies before God. Did you see that abominable press conference? William Taggart all but accused me of terrorism. He claimed that all the violence committed in the name of our cause was the result of my influence.
So stay alive long enough to tell him your side of the story.
He already knows it isn't true. I trusted that man. For years I gave him loyal service, and he betrayed me. He sacrificed my freedom and good name to save the reputation of his organization. It's no use fighting him. He'll just spin it again. At least if I die, he'll never be able to use me again.
So that's your plan? Just lay down and die so you can't be used again? That's bullshit. You need to face what's coming. There's a very thin line between martyr and victim, Sandoval. And if you pull the trigger, you won't be remembered as either.
You certainly like taking chances, Mr. Jensen. But your point has merit. Maybe I did give up too easily. I made it my life's work to try and help people. But Humanity Front was losing people to the so-called enhancement industry every day. Those scientists were my last chance to stop the insanity, and I failed. If anything, my actions helped the pro-augmentation camp.
I wasn't really paying attention to my Casey mod before, so I'm not sure which one's the right answer here. I guess it really doesn't matter at this point, though. We still have the pheromones as backup. I have kind of mixed feelings about this guy anyway. It's sad that his life is ruined, but then he's a little bit of a schmuck for getting into that situation.
You've got to be kidding me. You can do anything you put your mind to. You've earned yourself a doctorate. You became second in command to one of the most powerful men in the country. And you still kept trying harder. You've got more spirit than most people who think they're successful.
Aren't you listening? My spirit isn't the problem. It's the choices I've made that got us here. At first, after the kidnapping, I was numb. And then the pain came, and it's been with me ever since. I look in the mirror and I see a mass murderer. The guilt and the shame have made me impossible to be with. My wife wants to divorce me, start her life over. I've lost her. I've lost everything.
You keep throwing out excuses for why killing yourself is the right thing to do, but the truth is you're lazy and scared and you want the easy way out. At least be honest with yourself. All the reasons you've given so far are nothing but bullshit. You and I both know suicide is a coward's act.
Yes, you smug bastard. I admit it. I'm a coward. I want an end to the torments I've been living with these last few months. And if you think you could do any better, think again. Here, take the gun. I may still be a coward tomorrow, but I'll be damned if I'm going to prove it in front of you today.
I would take your gun, dude, but I don't have room for it.
Pritchard, get this. The GPLs are still transmitting. Sandoval switched them to a lower frequency.
But they could be broadcasting anywhere in the world. I don't have the type of equipment we'll need to find them.
It's our only lead, Pritchard. You have to do something.
I know. Listen, the riot's still blocking the street entrance. Head back to your apartment and Malik will fly you over. Maybe by the time you get here, I'll have figured out something.
So remember, now we have to go back to the apartment since the riots are blocking off CRF Industries. It's kind of a silly premise that we have to have Malik fly us 2 blocks. You'd think the police would just let us safely walk through whatever cordon they have in front of it. Although you will notice once we get back there are guys crouching at the top of the stairs with machine guns. So maybe it's a little more serious situation than a normal riot. I'm always a big fan of hidden doorways and walls. It would be kind of cool to have one of those in your house. Those people are still cowering in fear even though we knocked out that guy like an hour ago. I guess it just freezes the area in time if you walk out. There is actually a lot of loading of different areas in this game. I've been trying to cut it out as much as possible for this playthrough. Every time you see a fade to black, it would have been a 5 to 15 second loading screen to the next area. It's not too bad when you're playing through it at a relatively slow pace, but it is a little bit noticeable if you know where you're going. Not nearly as bad as Deus Ex Invisible War, though. In that game, I remember on my second playthrough, I was running back to turn in a mission, and I had 4 separate loading screens in between the place that I completed the mission and the place I had to turn it in. So it can be really insane at times.
We're talking augmentations, and how by not allowing us to have them, they are essentially stripping our ability to defend ourselves away from us. Now, followers,
Malik, always running late. Come on, girl. Be on time.
Nice detective work, Jensen. You ready to return to HQ?
Yup.
Yeah. Let's hope Pritchard's found that frequency.
You said it. Hey, I got a message for you, Jensen. From Pritchard. He says he's not in the office.
Great. So what exactly am I supposed to do?
I don't know. He said you should check in with the boss.
Even if it was true that we were breeding a bunch of augmented soldiers and training them, what do they think stopping us from going home and throwing a bunch of rocks is gonna do?
Well, I guess they want the UN to see how mad they are, so the delegates will do something about it.
We're just workers anyway. Whether the footage is real or fabricated or not, the people who shot it are more powerful than they can even imagine. Think they care what the people think?
My dog must be starving.
Those subtitles were totally different than the conversation those ladies were having. And here's some of those guys with machine guns I was talking about earlier. One last look at the beautiful city skyline before we get out of this riot-ridden city. That ride up seemed a lot shorter than before. Maybe because we've had so many long elevator rides lately.
CRF?
David's just stepped out for a moment, Mr. Jensen. But do come in. I've been hoping to meet you.
Mr. Darrow. I'm surprised you even know who I am.
David speaks very highly of you. He says that when it comes to detective work, you are like a dog with a bone. Have you found your scientist yet?
What else did David tell you?
Over the years, plenty. But today I'm here as a friend and fellow scientist. Things are getting quite turbulent out there, wouldn't you agree? So many people drunk on revolution. The United Nations being urged to intervene. And all because of the technology I created.
Things have come a long way since then.
Haven't they? And now my old friend David wants me to lead us to the Promised Land. He's asked me to invite members of the UN to Panchaea, to convince them we don't need industry regulation.
Your geoengineering project in the Arctic Ocean.
The installation couldn't have been built without the assistance of augmented workers. And when it's finished, my little hole in the ocean is going to stop global warming. A lovely photo op, wouldn't you say?
If it works.
You mean, if it doesn't kill us all?
Adam? You're back. Can I speak to you outside? Get to the helipad, son. You're going back to Hengsha Island. Frank tracked down one of the GPLs.
Only one? Is it?
Sevchenko's. But Adam, we had to call in a favor of the DOD to do it.
Meaning, the conspirators probably know I'm coming.
So that guy was Darrow, and if you remember, he was the one that I was saying I thought the guys were talking about at that storage locker. I could be wrong about that, but that's my best guess at this point.
Boss said we're heading back to Hangshaw?
Pritchard tracks Shevchenko's GPL signal. If he's alive, there's a chance the rest of them are too.
That's a pretty big leap, Jensen.
We've been making big leaps for a while now.
Whatever you say. You ready to get going?
No time like the present. Let's get going.
Then hop in. Bad news, Spy Boy.
Spy Boy?
Hangshaw Traffic Control just revoked our clearance. We're being rerouted to another part of the city.
I don't like that. I suppose you can't just ignore them.
Yeah, right. Chinese government. I've got to comply. Bravo Echo Echo 008, proceeding to designated coordinates. What the hell? We've got a SAM locked on our tail. Jensen, all systems are down. Hang on, we're going in hard. Jump, Jensen!
Malik, we've got company.
I know, but the...
Alright, I need to assign a couple augmentations before I go any further here. Let's go for the armor first. And a bigger Typhoon area would be pretty useful in this fight as well. And I'll upgrade our battery recharge rate a little bit. And how about a sprint upgrade? That should pretty much handle it for now.
Bird took some damage. Gonna need to patch it up before I can go.
I'll stay and cover you.
Negative! You need to get away from here and find Dr. Savchenko. Keep me covered! I'll be fine.
Don't be a sitting duck.
Maybe, maybe not. But this is your best chance to slip by them
Unnoticed, and you know it. So get out of here, Jensen.
Enter combat.
Don't make me!
I can't actually show off the targeting system on the trank gun again. It wasn't very easy to see on the indoor fight last time I used it. You'll notice little circles appear when you hover over a guy. And you have to line up the crosshairs using those circles to compensate for wind and stuff like that.
Jensen, the bird's fixed and I'm taking off. Now get on with the damned mission. And thanks, Spy Boy.
Anytime, Faridah.
So if we were trying to sneak around here and not save her, we could have come under here and kind of snuck up through this area. But she's the nicest character in the game, so I like to save her. The first time I played, I actually didn't realize they even had an option. It's pretty hard to actually get to all those guys quick enough. You could see I was chowing down on those bars like candy.
Jensen, I've been monitoring comm activity around Hangshaw. Bell Tower's looking for you. Hard.
I know. They ambushed us, Pritchard. Forced us to make an emergency landing. Malik barely got away in time.
But they're supposed to be...
The good guys?
Just give them a wide berth, Jensen. If they recognize you, they'll shoot.
I'm not actually sure why they make you take an elevator up here. It just gets us back straight into the city. I guess maybe they just couldn't figure out another better way to tie them together. Well, that's new. That was a lot bigger than all those other blips we've been getting. It actually turned off our augmentations for a second there.
Jensen, it's Pritchard. Have you been watching the news?
Been a bit busy, Francis.
Jensen, the World Health Organization is advising all augmented patients to check in with Lim. There's a problem with biochip technology.
The glitches I've been experiencing.
We've all had them. So far, I can't determine why.
You heading to a clinic?
I'm running a few more tests. But since I can't exactly run them on you, and we don't know when you'll be back, you might not want to wait. Up to you.
Even in my first playthrough, I knew it was a bad idea to get your chip replaced. It's just something that screams trap if you're familiar with the series.
Excuse me, Mr. Jensen? I am not mistaken. You are Mr. Jensen, right?
That depends. Who's asking?
I am sorry, Mr. Jensen. I am being impolite. My name is Wing Hui. I am a doctor here.
I can see that. What I really meant to ask is, how do you know who I am?
Yes, of course. Excuse me, for I am a bit nervous. Bell Tower agents were here a while ago, looking for a man who fits your description. When I heard what they were saying of you, it occurred to me that you might be exactly the person I need.
Are you trying to blackmail me, Doc?
No, of course not. I assure you, Mr. Jensen, no one in this clinic would dare to turn you over to the police. Lim has very strict rules about patient confidentiality, especially if those patients belong to our partnership program.
Glad to hear it. So what's this all about then?
I'm afraid I won't be able to go into very much details. Not before I know you are really willing to help. But I need someone to help me to stop a very dangerous augmented soldier, and possibly his squad mates. If everything Bell Tower said of you is true, then you would seem the good fit for this job.
We'll do this, because it gets us a praxis. And it's kind of on our way.
Fine, I'll do it. Just tell me more.
Thank you. Now please, understand that I am to give you sensitive information on multiple parties.
I understand, Doc. You can count on my discretion.
I appreciate it, Mr. Jensen. Obviously, you are familiar with Bell Tower and the role they have in this city. What you may not be familiar with, however, is the fact that sometimes they contract limb doctors like myself to work in private clinics on special projects.
What kind of special projects?
What you Americans call black operations. Bell Tower selects some of their best soldiers and make them to be super augmented with experimental, top-secret hardware.
Not to sound too jaded, Doc, but none of that comes as a big surprise. Stuff like that's been going on for years.
Yes. Your government and mine have both been guilty of this practice, I am sure. But Bell Tower is not a government. They are a private corporation. A private army on sale to the highest bidder.
Is this about stopping Bell Tower, then? Because as much as I might hate them right now, I'm only one man.
No. It is not all of Bell Tower I need help with. It is just one of their covert operatives, a man named Michael Zelazny. He was implanted with experimental hardware, and to an extent that is way beyond legal regulations. I am ashamed to say I have operated on him myself, and he has been used in countless secret operations for the Chinese and others.
I get it. He's a badass.
Quite, Mr. Jensen, quite. Rumor has it that Mr. Zelazny and his unit have gone rogue about a month ago. 2 weeks later, a city official was assassinated. I am certain they are involved. And then, a few days ago, Mr. Zelazny contacted me. He needed urgent help with one of his squad mates' augmentations.
I take it you said you would help.
They sent me to the back store of a meat shop near Pandang Road, in the Yutzao district. There, I performed emergency repairs on one of the agent's augs, a servo replacement. I believe this back store is their hideout, Mr. Jensen. You must go there and make Mr. Zelazny hear reason.
Yeah, I mean, what are super augmented killing machines known for, if not their unmatched love for dialogue? I'm sure nothing could go wrong.
Do not be too eager to dismiss the possibility of speaking to him, Mr. Jensen. Mr. Zelazny is a soldier, not a maniac. Your own unique situation will no doubt resonate with him. But if things do turn sour and he must be terminated, I think you are a good candidate to get it done. Or at least, survive.
Alright, Doc, we'll take care of that for you. Unfortunately, we don't have enough money right now to buy more Praxis kits. We already had to miss one in Detroit. Now, it's kind of weird because these bell tower guys are a little bit aggressive to us. They're green, but they'll yell at you and eventually turn aggressive. So I'm just going to take him down. He's the only one around here right now.